I see a lot of language teachers saying that we are not babies and we cannot learn a language all the way from beginning by acquiring the language. Confidently speaking, this is all wrong. But the weird thing is, it is also not achievable. Let me explain why and what the solution is. First of all, babies have the best teachers in the world who are assigned to all their needs. Their parents. Thanks to their parents, there are a couple of mechanisms that provide them the best language acquisition in the beginning. Let me give you a couple of examples.
Say dada.
Dada.
Oh!
Say mama. Mama. Hi. Really? No way.
If you notice, babies' teachers' outputs are a little bit different. They are precise, slow, emphasize sentences, and usually explain basic situations and emotions. There's even a difference in the tone of the voice. It is generally much higher pitched, I would say. These outputs are called caregiver speech, and the weird thing is they are said to be generated thanks to evolution. It seems like Homo sapiens are doing this subconsciously to teach babies the mother tongue in the best possible way. They are perfect inputs to embed meaningful messages into the language acquisition device for a complete beginner. One more very weird piece of information. Babies start learning the language even they are fetuses. It is hard to imagine, but experiments show that newborn babies give reactions to their mother tongue right after they are born. There are a couple of more beneficial mechanisms that provide the perfect language acquisition to babies, which I don't want to bore you with. On the other hand, we, adults, don't have such guidance. We cannot learn the language like babies do. Not only because our brains are different, but also because we don't have the perfect teacher. And even if we did, this method is still very inefficient for us. But there's a way. First of all, we don't have the perfect brain elasticity, which helps babies to absorb information like a sponge. It is quite understandable if you think though. They have so much to learn and have very limited time for it. It is not something that adults can do. We are not capable of learning everything from scratch in a short time, and the good news is we don't have to. We don't need to. To start with, we don't have to learn everything surrounding us. We already know what a strawberry looks like. We have probably eaten it hundreds of times and tell what that word stands for in our mother tongue. The same goes for verbs, nouns, adjectives, and etc. If you ask me, it is a trade-off. We adults don't have to learn the meaning of everything, but on the other hand, our brains are not working like supercomputers. Babies' brains do though. So if we don't have superpowers like babies do, how are we going to learn this goddamn language? Simple. By using every advantage we have against them. First, we have to understand how we and babies acquire a language. According to Stephen Krashen, there's a device called language acquisition device in our brains, and this device is capable of processing every meaningful message and converting it to language acquisition. It is, of course, not a physical device that you can turn on or off. It's just the explanation of connections between neurons which interpret similar sentences and create their own rules within themselves, within the connections between neurons. In order for this device to run, all you need to do is feed it with so-called comprehensible input. It doesn't matter how you send the input into the device. What matters is if it is receiving them in a stress-free environment. There are a couple of ways to send those messages into our brains, and if you are a complete beginner, I would like to introduce them to you. After years of research and trials, I've come up with 3 different ways, and I'm combining all of them to provide the best performance to my students. Our first method is the usage of our mother tongue. We already know a language and more or less can understand the main message by looking at the transition. Although this is not the best option, transitions are very good tools to begin with acquisition if you ask me. We can simply check the transition of the sentences and then hop into the message given in the target language. The second method is general knowledge. We all know the taste and shape of a strawberry. So instead of spending days or weeks to understand what a strawberry is, we can directly feed our brains with sentences that have strawberries in them. But this time, it is going to be without transitions. We are going to embed the messages with the help of shapes, schemes, and movements. If someone is holding a strawberry in his or her hand and saying that he or she is eating a strawberry while executing the movement, this is a message that your language acquisition device will process and accumulate over time. And finally, there's a method called TPR, which is my favorite. A teacher is providing a sentence while mimicking it with movements, and students are repeating the movement. For example, the teacher starts the movement by saying, "My stomach hurts." He or she is at the same time holding his or her stomach. Then the students muscles are repeating the same movement without talking, of course. It is theoretically activating the motor neuron system while embedding the sentences into language acquisition device and providing the best results. At least that's what experiments show us. So you are going to either choose one of these methods or combine them all together, which is exactly what I'm doing with my students with a perfect repetition schedule. Let's say we started learning a language with this method and progressed all the way to A2 level. What shall we do at that level? How do we continue to progress further? Well, the answer is simple, but first we need to understand something. What I am and you should try to achieve is a 7-year-old kid's language level in your target language. Because after that, everything is easy. Once you hit that level, you don't need any other method. All you are going to do is throw away all the dictionaries and start exposing yourself to the pure language itself. No drills, no transition, no any other method. All you are going to do is read and listen and trust your brain. We will come to that part at the end, but first, let's figure out how we can achieve this level after building our foundation. Like I said, we are now at A2 level, using the 3 methods I just explained. And we are trying to achieve a 7-year-old kid's language level. What you are trying to do is combine extensive and intensive reading. If you are new to my channel, but hold on, you gotta be new to the channel. I just uploaded my first video. Extensive reading means that the passage you are trying to read should not contain unknown words more than 5%. 3% is fine, 2% is fine, but 6% is not acceptable. Not in general, at least. During extensive reading, you can and should try to go into flow state and acquire new words or grammar like a machine gun. I'm emphasizing flow state intentionally here because I will be explaining it in my next video. It will be right here or here when I upload it. Reading extensively in flow state is so powerful that no other method can be compared to it. You are basically unlocking the most powerful feature of your brain. The trick is your brain is connecting new unknown words with other known word chunks and helping you unlock their meaning over time. You don't have to check your dictionary or try to understand it. It naturally embeds it into acquisition device. And if you see that unknown word more than 30 or 40 times, it starts to sound very familiar to you. Like you have known that word for your entire life. Intensive reading, on the other hand, requires you to use a dictionary all the time because the percentage of known words is not enough for you to use this feature of your brain. Since we now know what they mean, it is time to combine them. Here is my method. First, take a passage that can be categorized as intensive. Then either have the transition of the text with you or note every unknown word to you on that passage. Then read it right away while checking all the unknown words. Then you are done for today. You can do this with a couple of more passages and create a library on your own. On the next day, you are going to read the same passage while checking the unknown words and or transitions. But on the next day, you are not going to use the transitions. Ideally, you should remember at least 50% of the words right away and won't need to check your dictionary again. If that's not the case, you are going to do another translated session once again before reading it extensively. Then you are going to leave 2 to 3 days of space and read it again without dictionary. I would suggest you not to be sad if you still cannot remember weird, seldom used words in those texts, as the probability of you seeing them is very low and you won't be able to learn them in the near future anyway. While using this method, you are at the same time finding very easy cartoon-like books or movies to expose yourself to the language extensively without transition. A more ambitious method would be though to use any dictionary even from this stage. But I don't, and probably you should not select this method. The reason is there aren't too many sources to help you advance on purely extensive reading or listening at this level, and even if you could find a couple of sources, they tend to bore people. I mean, it is a little bit discouraging to watch Tom and Jerry like cartoon movies consistently, and one of the most important parameters of language acquisition is motivation and boredom. I and you should never ever get bored during this whole process because research showed that it dramatically affects language acquisition. I find the most effective method here is to use minimal translation to quickly surpass this level to finally start reading real books or watch real movies and TV shows. And if you wonder, it is not my idea. I stole it directly from Stephen Krashen's speech. Because we are experiencing content shortage, it is maybe important to use translations at some point. As you do this, you should be observing that your brain has already discovered most of the grammar rules. However, you might still be missing a few. A quick scan of simple grammar book is more than enough if you ask me. Even just being aware of those rules is enough. It will become clear as you continue reading and listening. With this method, you can build your vocabulary until you reach a 7-year-old kid's level. If you wonder, a 7-year-old kid is more or less at B1. If you reach this level, you gotta understand what a 7-year-old kid does after he learns the basics of a language. He constantly consumes new messages and embeds them into his or her brain without transition, without any other weird methods. He or she is not trying to learn new vocabulary or grammar consciously. He's just reading what he or she likes. He's just watching whatever movie he or she likes, and his or her brain constantly improves, gaining proficiency in the language. Your brain is smarter than you think, and it is perfectly capable of unlocking new grammar rules or vocabulary without any further introduction once you reach that level. So our tactic is going to be transition slowly to a level where you can consume the language without dictionary, without any drills, without any other bullshit methods. Pure language with sounds and text. In other words, you are doing extensive reading. If you don't remember what extensive reading is, go back a couple of minutes. I already explained to you. From there, you don't have any other option but to read or listen whatever you can lay your hands on. Listening should be done too, but don't expect faster results like you do in reading. You, of course, should use both of them. You won't be able to correct your pronunciation by pure reading. If you understood this part, I also have a couple more tricks to maximize your gains. Once you reach this level, you can use quick reading methods to read 2 to 3 times faster than you normally do, which will provide you more volume to your acquisition device and therefore quicken your progress. If you need the best available quick reading course, check the description. Moreover, not every book is appropriate for you to read extensively or apply quick reading, but you can do a very simple test by reading 2 to 3 pages from your book and calculate how many words are unknown to you. If it is higher than 5%, you should not read. It is counterproductive and won't let you stay in the flow state. Like I said, I will be explaining the flow state in my next video. Check it right here when it is published. I think I did a very big favor to you if you didn't know all these. You can return the favor by clicking the thumbs up button and leaving a comment. Wish to see you again. Bye.